Good evening. It is now 7 o'clock. It is officially our start time. Just to let you know, we have new technology tonight. We're testing out the OWL. And in our weekly tests, it served the technology better if we didn't have mics. So we will project as well as we can, and hopefully it will all work out. The OWL will be able to capture everybody in the room as on camera as well as sound. So if there is a lot of background noise, it will pick that up instead of keeping us up. Also, this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as is indicated in the agenda. Upon request to the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodations for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in this meeting. And for current Washtenaw County health mandates regarding high COVID-19 transmission, all attendees will be required to wear masks above their nose and physically distance. So with that, I will call the meeting officially to order and send it over to Hope for the roll call.
Mr. Albrecht,
Here.
Mr. Arnold, Beverly,
Here.
Mrs. Raderach,
Here.
Ms. Kangas, here, Mr. Lundy, Mrs. Dwara,
Here.
Mr. Naughton,
Here.
Mr. Patel.
Here.
We will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the meeting minutes from December 20th, 2021.
I move that the Board of Education approves the minutes from December 20th, 2021 as presented.
I would second. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, we will put it to the vote. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from December 20th, 2021 as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Meeting minutes have been approved, and next is the approval of the agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion of the agenda, we will put it to a vote to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The agenda has been approved. That moves us to school presentations, which the agenda says there are none. So we will go to our first opportunity for public participation. This is where the public can comment. Each speaker is allotted a maximum of 5 minutes for a total of 30 minutes unless otherwise notified. At this point in the meeting, those interested in making a public comment will be asked to raise their hand so that time may be divided equally. Each speaker will be asked to announce their name and district of residence and indicate if you represent any organization or agency. No person may speak more than once on the same subject during a single meeting, and those wishing to have receive a personal response from the board or the superintendent should complete a public comment board form, which was available at the door, which is a green sheet. It helps us keep track if everyone fills one out anyway, so that is appreciated. So if there is anyone who would like to take this time to comment from the public, raise your hand. Sure, gentleman in the front. Play your hand up first.
I can go.
Okay. If you just want to put your green sheet on the table with the computer, that's fine. And then just please announce your name.
Sure. Hello, my name is David Quinn. I live in Dexter, and my daughter Hannah Quinn was a volleyball player for Paula Palmer Burns this past season. And I've come to find out that Paula is no longer employed here, so I'm here to support her. So my daughter was on the varsity team this past year. And actually, she has played for Paula directly and indirectly for the past 10 years. starting in 3rd grade, Paula's been involved with her as a volleyball coach. And so during that past 10 years, it's hard for me to even throw out a guess as to how much volunteer hours Paula has given to the Dexter community and the kids in this community to, promote volleyball and just general overall good spirits with what she's got going on. In regards to this past season, I think Paula, the season was great. I think Paula did a great job. I have 5 specific reasons. First is leadership. Paula showed great leadership because during the season, we had random stoppages due to COVID. And nobody could do anything about that. But what Paula did was pivot, adjust things in practice, adjust the starting lineup, and keep going. We won a lot of games. That's leadership. Number 2 out of 5, playing time. Another thing that Paula excelled at. We had 6 Saturday volleyball tournaments. What this meant was we played against anywhere from 3 to 6 other high schools in volleyball. That's 3 sets per school. We were in the gym 5 to 8 hours per day. This was a great opportunity for everybody on the team to get playing time. Paula realized that the starters, the normal subs, couldn't, carry the load. Everybody got playing time, and that benefit helped the team, and we could see it as the season went on. Another COVID interruption, players couldn't play. These kids that got time in the tournaments able to step in and make the plays. Great coaching job by Paula. Number 3, Paula was an effective communicator with parents and players. As a parent, I feel that we always knew what next thing was coming down the line. Games canceled, whatever that happens to the team. Paula, whether it was in-person team meetings or via the web, we knew what was going on. In regards to players, I feel that the players knew that what their role was and how they could help the team. And this began before the season started. In the tryouts, Paula had individual conversations with players, and some of the conversations, from what I've been told, went like this. Hey, guess what? You made the team, congratulations, but you have to understand your role is going to be a bench player. Are you okay with that? That's transparency, that is honesty, a great quality of a good coach. Another thing I liked about Paula is that she encouraged strength training throughout the season. What strength training does is it's really a great thing to prevent injury and to promote improved play on the court. And anybody that went to volleyball games this season realized that the players improved throughout the season. We had a great season, the players got better, it worked. My final and 5th point is Paula is a tough coach, but she is not afraid to laugh and crack jokes at the appropriate time in practice. How do I know that? I wasn't there. My senior daughter played volleyball 4 years here at Dexter High School. Anytime something happened in practice, good, bad, ugly, she told stories around the dinner table. Plenty of times they were cracking up in practice at the appropriate times, and Paula was involved. I think high school sports should be fun, and Coach Paula promoted that atmosphere. So these 5 things are all qualities of a great coach at any level. So it's my opinion that Paula, there's no question she should continue on coaching at Dexter High School varsity sports. Thank you. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Connie Creech. I'm here tonight to speak in regard to Coach Burns and the Dexter volleyball program. I am shocked and completely dismayed that a veteran coach and community member would be treated in this manner. I have known Coach Burns for 6 years. My daughter has been coached by her for 4 out of the 6 years. I have nothing but high praise for Coach Burns' professionalism and genuine care for the kids that played for her. She is a coach that is willing to give tough feedback and expects a player to give 100% effort while on the volleyball court. I find this refreshing and needed for our children in this everyone gets a trophy society. She has developed wonderful relationships with her players present and past. I have watched over the years that past players that have already graduated have sought her out after volleyball games to see how she's doing. My husband and I have sent letters to the board, and these questions still remain. If the nature of the problem existed on the junior varsity team, why are you actively trying to get rid of the varsity coach? Why were protocols not followed? Why did the students and parents never make an appointment to actually talk to Coach Burns? How can a person write a problem when they don't know that a problem exists? Why weren't parents and students who are actually on Coach Burns' varsity team not interviewed? We have worked with her for 4 years. Why would anyone want to coach in Dexter if you can be accused of something, be subsequently cleared of those accusations in a formal investigation, and still fired? Does it ever occur to you that this is not a good look? This does not bode well for the many vacant positions you are constantly advertising to the community. You have also sent a message to your current coaches. We do not back you under any circumstances. Finally, there were people that I have talked to, parents and students, who were afraid to speak out or even write letters for fear of retaliation. Why is that culture present here at Dexter schools? Thank you.
Kevin Creech, I think y'all know me. I'm here to advocate for Paula. So I wanted to just list out the achievements this team had, and a lot of it was due to her. So you've probably seen these, but I want them on record. Overall varsity team season GPA, 3.81. Varsity record, 37, 8, and 4. Ranked top 25 Division I programs by multiple metrics. Qualified for MIVCA Team Academic All-State Awards. Multiple MIVCA Individual Academic All-State Award qualifiers. Qualified for USMC Team All-Academic Awards. Entire senior class as MHSAA Scholar Athlete Achiever Award. 6 SEC Red All Conference Award achievers. 3 MHSAA Regional All-Regional Award winners. 1 All-State Team Honorable Mention Achiever. These things don't happen by accident. So we lost a coach last year, and Paula stepped in by a lot of wrangling and arm twisting. She decided that she was ready to make the jump to the varsity team. We were not supposed to finish as well as we did, and a lot of that was due to her hard work, determination, and expectations of the girls. And so I, like my wife, and I'm not going to reiterate what she said, I have a hard time understanding why we did a process of investigating allegations against her. Those were found to be unfounded, and we went straight to the hardest, most strict punishment, I'm going to call it, of firing her, basically asking her to resign. She didn't do it on her own will. You as a board, or not, Dr. Timmis asked her to resign. So I think we need to rethink that, because like my wife said, it sends a message to community. It's not a good one. So I'm asking you to take that in consideration. Thanks.
Anyone else who would like to speak?
I am Paula Palmer Burns. I am the individual they are all here for. And I felt compelled to come tonight because of their support. Because I don't feel as though this is a place that is safe for my children and I. I did finally get a letter back, a response to my letter that I sent from the president of the board on Friday afternoon. And I'm waiting counsel to try to figure out how to move forward with that. But what I don't understand is how I would be told something in one meeting, an outcome meeting, that would not be what were the actual options available. So if there were 3 options, yet I would be reported as something completely different than what I was put in my letter to those complainants and to EDGE staff, which does go in my permanent record at EDGE staff. I understand you don't carry a personnel file on me because I'm a contractor as a coach, but now I have something that I've never been talked to about. I've never been informed of in my personal record at EDGE staff. So what I'm trying to figure out is where the protocols actually are, the policies and protocols that were quoted back to me that people say you follow, that are written out in handbooks. I've never received anything other than what I can read online as a coach, and I've been here for almost 10 years this time around. Because in the 90s, I also coached here. And I've coached at Manchester, and I've coached at a million different places over the last 25 years or so. And I've never had this kind of unprofessional behavior by the largest place I've coached. And I was shocked by it. So I'm here because they have supported me. People who actually knew me, actually have spent years with me. I'm going to use the Creeches because I've told their daughter for 2 years she couldn't play the position she was honorable mention All-State at. I had meetings with her. I said, your goals are amazing. Here's where we see your role in our program. We don't think you'll be able to do it, but we know you'll kill it at this position. Over and over again, I said that to her. And she decided she would prove me wrong and is an All-State honorable mention kid, her senior year. And that is exactly what we want. She knew the hill she had to climb and she climbed it. And she knew because we told her, we as a staff. So I did step up this year. It was not my original plan. I wanted to stay at the JV level, but I know everyone who applied and they had no experience, or they were not, most of them had very little experience for a varsity program at our caliber. We've been successful for years. We've had a culture of teamwork at the staffing level. That is crucial. It demonstrates what teamwork's supposed to look like to these athletes, to the community. It demonstrates that we work together and we all want the best for kids. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's not the same, but their journey to get there still gives them amazing tools that they can use in life. That's what coaching in high school is. Coaching club is different. It's not about the whole human. It is here. They have to be eligible. They have to sit in class every day with these kids. They have to walk by them in the classroom. They have to answer to their community in a group here when they are playing high school sports. And that's what keeps high school sports relevant, especially in these club sports like volleyball, where the recruiting isn't done here. Most kids don't even need to play high school ball. It doesn't matter if they play. It's crucial for their development, but it doesn't matter if they play. And it's only crucial for their development if they're at a high standard, high expectation program, because it's a concentrated period of time where they have to do all the things that make us good humans. And that's what we're supposed to raise, good adults that can make right decisions and they can falter here while they're safe, young, and growing. So thank you for your time.
Any other comments? Would like to say anything? Okay, we will move on to the next items in our agenda, which is the administrative and board updates. Starting with the superintendent's update.
We were updated by Washington County Health Department on Friday with new guidance, and it'll be really helpful instead of the 10-day quarantines that are reduced to 5 days, and it really will help us be able to keep students and staff in school. We have seen a significant number of cases of positive staff, positive students within the last week. We look at attendance. Our high school attendance has been floating between 76 and 81% for the last 5 days of school, which is significantly lower than usual. It's 94, 95. And normal, kind of with regular illnesses, when there's a decent sized flu outbreak, it's usually around 90. So this is significantly low. we did have to post Friday out of staffing concerns. Today was made it through. Tomorrow's looking a lot like today. We're doing everything we can to keep kids in school. We think this month's gonna be pretty tough, and hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. Overall, we're keeping kids in classes the best we can. We're working with our teachers to make sure we keep everybody comfortable and safe and in school. We're just chugging along.
Do you want to continue on? Or is that?
That's all I have.
That's the COVID-19 update as well?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the board president update. I don't really have anything. I wanted to thank the members of the community who spoke. The first public participation. I know that this is a matter that is close to your heart. Just to review, our only employee that the board evaluates the superintendent, but we do appreciate hearing from the community. And then also just wanted to say thank you for, I've heard a lot of people comment that they are happy with what is going on and that we are trying the best we can to the kids in school and keep the schools going. And I always say thank you. That's our, we're awesome staff and administration. So get on to you guys. So with that said, we'll move it over to Aiden and Griffin for the student representative update.
So Wiley students are preparing to take the UEA testing this week, and all I have.
In the high school, the student advisory board has been finalized, had their first meeting. This is just a group of 3 students from each grade level that will work with the kind of administration of the high school to get more student feedback and input into what goes on in the high school. And then with Creekside, the debate team went down and helped out with the Spartans v. Athens Summit Learning Project to just kind of introduce them to the topic of debate and see if they want to join middle school. And in middle school, with the change of administration and everything, so how to get a response, but they've got their stuff going on. They're just getting along. Like every other school, time has been tough. The last week has been pretty hard on everybody, but people really don't want to go online, so we kind of just have to be there.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to our consent items. That the Board of Education approved consent items all set. Is there any discussion? No discussion? I like that. Sure.
So I'm not comment about Jamie Bronson. Jamie Bronson was a teacher when I was in 7th grade. I think that was the first year. So it's he's been a Dexter forever. She's put a lot of heart and soul into this community. I only am sad that my kids weren't going to be in her. Not that my kids aren't too young to be under her village essentially, but I do remember that Jamie Bronson was teaching with Kirby Fisher for her first year. And she's a beach. I really don't think she's aged. So it's sad that she's going to be retiring, but I wish her the best. And I understand from her letter exactly why. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't want to have Jamie's retirement be in the consent items and not have anything said about her because she's such an outstanding educator and administrator, and I think it's great to hear from students who have passed. I know my 2 children loved her, so yeah, it'll be sad, but I understand from her email, her resignation letter as well. All right, any more discussion? Put it to a vote to approve the consent items in bulk. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We'll move on to our action items. Today we have, or tonight we have a policy first reading. Generally, that doesn't happen. Usually goes to the policy committee first, but because this is such a time-sensitive policy and it's worked to us, we're coming directly to the board So the first reading is the temporary COVID-19 vaccination testing and face covering. On November 5th, 2021, the U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration published emergency temporary standards on employee vaccination testing and face coverings. After several rounds in the courts and clarification, DCS has over 100 employees and is required at this time to move forward with implementation of the standards. The U.S. Supreme Court is currently considering the legality of the orders, but has not ruled at this time. In late December, after moving through the courts, the Sixth Circuit resolved the ruling prohibiting employers from implementing the orders. As a result, DCS and other school districts must begin implementing the order. As of last week, we were notified via OSHA's website that OSHA will provide employers with sufficient time to implement compliance. OSHA shared that they will not issue citations for non-compliance with any requirements of the DCS before January 10th. It will not issue citations for non-compliance with the standards testing requirements before February 9th, as long as the employer is exercising reasonable good faith efforts to come into compliance with the standard. The attached policy was provided by our attorneys in order to be in compliance. All board policies require 2 readings per policy. It's their first one. So we'll put it to a motion if there is one.
I'm gonna move that the Board of Education approve the attached policy 8407 for first reading. But I have 2 amendments. Shall I make them now?
I think we can discuss it. And then we'll go back to it.
Okay. Then I will say, we'll approve the attached policy 8407 for first reading as presented with option 2 under item C. As Mark said, normally the policy committee has kind of go through this and sort of recommend our options. But because this is on the front, we did not have an opportunity. Do you want me to talk about it?
So if we just need to second the motion and then we can discuss it. It's been moved and seconded. Now we can move on to discussion.
So the reason this policy is coming is we need to have a policy adopted for, in order to implement, if we have to do it. Right now, it looks like we have to. Originally, the thinking was it did not have to be a board policy, temporary policy, but then as it was last week, the thinking from all the attorneys in the state became that now boards need to adopt it. So our attorneys wrote the policy to keep us in compliance. It's a temporary policy. A couple discussion parts of this are that part C on the bottom of the 3rd page where it has an option 1 and option 2 is districts can choose whether they're going to require everyone to be vaccinated or if they can require employees to either be vaccinated or comply with the testing and face covering requirements. So what Elise suggested was the option 2, which is vaccination or the testing option based on.
If a person couldn't be vaccinated, not that many can't, because there are some that can't be for medical reasons, but other legit, religious reasons. How does that happen?
They would, if we choose option 1, there's a couple exemptions. If we choose option 2, they would have an option to do the testing or the base covering. Testing and base covering.
They would choose.
No, they would have, in order to maintain employment,
That be tested.
they would have to be tested for mask during the time of the order. Again, we're not sure the order is really going to be in effect. The Supreme Court heard some cases testimony last week. We don't know when it's going to happen. For ruling, we're all kind of in limbo, but we don't have an option to sit back. So the option 2 is probably the best option of those 2 identified in the policy.
We asked the union whether there's any preference.
What we know is that we have a high vaccination rate, near 100%. So if we chose option one, it would require to be vaccinated. We're having a hard time staffing now.
Option two is they have to wear a mask and test if they're not vaccinated.
Correct.
And if they have a medical exemption for a mask or something, is that,
We would have to work with them. How we do that. We don't know the OSHA rules yet, or my OSHA rules, but they're not even giving it to us until they. until whatever happens.
at this point, the Sixth Circuit has, that's what's up at the Supreme Court, that's what they just sort of oral on that, correct? And so we probably won't expect a decision until
After the 24th.
at the very earliest. Usually they don't have the decision until April and October.
I think this one needs to be a little quicker, because it's supposed to be implemented in about 24 states.
Perhaps we'll work with the federal government.
Yes.
Okay. What we're being told is that we have to put in something that may or may not need to go any further and maybe resolve those as soon as we can.
Yes. Yes. However, we have to show a good faith effort. The fines are pretty significant. Let's see, $2,000 per person that you violated it with,
We're just not having a policy in place.
for not having a good faith effort. So starting to have a first reading of a policy, it started, we've had to collect that vaccination records, was what we were advised to do, and start that process. Started that last week. If we're choosing on the 24th to be a second reading, it's still kind of looking like we're gonna have to implement it, then on the 24th, we'll probably have to have action one way or other on the policy, and then we would have to start implementing it with policies sometime before February. We have to show that a good faith effort and sitting back and doing nothing.
I feel let's probably with option two. I believe that gives us a little room. For me, I know professionally, I'm in the same predicament right now, and option two at least gives options for people who might be in the process of getting vaccination as well.
Or what should
Yeah, or have not. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, obviously, I think the district has done a good job encouraging vaccination this year. I think that it's most important right now that the district not be in a position to do more work and be in a position of negotiating with employees about specific individual decisions. This is a required policy. We must put it in place. One of, I think, the easiest ways for the district to implement it is to pick option two, where either they can submit a card or they can submit a test. It is not a choice that the district is able to make. We are required to do this. And so, like it or not, I think our best bet is to stay out of it and let the employees make whatever decision they want. They can test, they can submit a vaccine card, and it doesn't become the district needing to negotiate what's medically necessary or not. I think that puts us in a really difficult position. It's really just not fair for the employee or for the district staff. Also, I guess I have one other change under letter H, under reporting positive COVID-19 test or diagnosis. It's the third sentence, the last one in that paragraph. I'm honestly not sure why it's included, but it says that the employee shall not return to the workplace without the prior written approval of the superintendent or designee, which approval will be granted when the employee establishes to the satisfaction of the superintendent or designee that the employee is eligible to return to the workplace. I guess I'm not entirely sure why that line is in there. I mean, I'm happy to leave it there, but burden on the district to have to, it's the last line, in the first paragraph under H.
Seems duplicative of the subparts underneath. it.
That's
Yeah.
sort, I didn't, my goal is to reduce workload on the district when it comes to employee health status. And so it seems like if they've met their quarantine guidelines or whatever else, that they would just automatically be able to come back without additional okays.
You're wanting to strike that.
I would strike that from the policy personally, if that is allowable by law.
Sure. I mean, because it does appear to be duplicative of the next section right under it, where it says an employee removed will be eligible to return when, and it's the three things.
Yeah.
And that's really what we've kind of all been operating under all this time, so I agree.
So I'm getting a sneak peek into how policy meetings go. In the first meeting. No, this is just the first reading.
You have to approve first.
We'll approve,
By
yeah.
policy.
Yeah.
And removing that, when I read it, it's still clear about.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what shall I make a different motion then? Okay, so I would like to move that the Board of Education approve the policy 8407 for first reading as amended with option 2 chosen. Striking. And striking, sorry, I thought I said amended. And striking the second half of the first paragraph under letter H. Third sentence of the letter H.
We support.
I will support the clarification of the third sentence.
Is there any more discussion?
Yeah, okay. No, I just discussion on that word short. But if I go in paragraph I, J, so we're not what is actually. What I am concerned about, is I don't really know where to go. Make sure that we are what is actually doing what we can do. They test, they should not. Someone's already they can. In the system. Get vaccinated, get the boosters. Looking at, looking at the health department's recommending. Well, I think striking it out, I like that, but I just want to.
Talk about I and J, that's specific to people that are not vaccinated.
Yeah, but take it out of the page, right?
Not all of each, just that sentence.
No, I think. This is the first read, I'll maybe read it tomorrow. I've got a couple times, but I'll read it tomorrow.
Oh, you talk about the last sentence of H under number 3, but if they are vaccinated or no, that's not about it.
They're not a paragraph, so, yeah.
Yeah, I read that they would be paid even if they were out of sick time, they had to be filed, they were vaccinated. So that's how I read it.
That's why I read it, I don't see it.
Can't remember.
I'll read it.
There it is. It's the last,
It's accrued time.
It's right above I, that last.
That's only for the side effects. That's if they choose to get vaccinated because of this. If they're already vaccinated, it's silent on language on paid or unpaid leave.
I'll read it again.
They can use their leave time. That's what the district, if they don't have any leave time, they'll have to look at it. Yeah, it's silent on that for whether you're vaccinated or not. We do have a letter of agreement with our, the Dexter Education Association for our teachers, they were out because of COVID, the fact that we trace back to school. And they don't return today, the challenge is whether you trace back to school. or not. Rates are so high right now, it's hard to tell where.
What's the first meeting? Ignore it. I'll put it.
Is there any further discussion before we put it to a vote?
Well, just say, if the employee has no time, the employee may request 2 work days. will be the same week. So, what's the side effects? Right. Okay, so I guess I would just, I'd like to know that the union has, the teachers union has reviewed this. If they have any concerns, I'd like to hear that. Okay. All those in favor to approve the first reading with option 2 as amended? Say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Moving on to the second action item, which is approving board members attending the MASB's Winter Institute that will take place live online, February 25th through the 27th. So approving all the any interested board members to take up to 6 CBA classes. They can also take them outside and go into your institute. Okay. Oh, right, now until June 30th. Yeah. We just found out. Yeah.
If the Board of Education authorize registration fees, including travel costs, if applicable for any interested board members to attend the Winter Institute and or take up to 6 CBA classes there or be approved at SBA now until June 30th.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We'll put it to a vote. All those in favor to approve any interested board member who would like to take classes up until June 30th, 2022. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. It's been approved. Okay, we're moving on to number 3 under action items, which is schools of choice. Since 2014, the Board of Education has made available a limited number of schools of choice spots for non-resident students to attend Dexter schools. Our packet included an executive summary outlining the background information on this issue. This item is presented for action this evening.
I move that the Board of Education approve for fall 2022 at least 1 school of choice spot for each grade from young 5 through 8, at least 1 virtual spot, at least 1 in Dexter Early Middle College, and at least 30 spots in the Dexter High School IB program, 10 each in 9th, 10th, and 11th grades.
I'll second. Is there any discussion?
I do have a question on this. Is there, I think in the past, we put a maximum on school days? No?
We've done the minimum of 1. I try to communicate to you, we're not going to add sections. Generally, what we've done, if you look at the numbers, we kind of circle like 1 per class. Times 2. And so, for example, there's times we don't have any room, but this year we have a bunch. But there's times we only let in 1, but maybe another grade level we can fit 5. Without decreasing or making the class sizes higher, because we'll get classes that are all at 21, 5 20. So we'll put classes, kind of sprinkle them through. A lot of times, if you look historically, a large proportion of the kids that are accepted by choice are English here. Or moving here. That's what we've seen for the most part. We haven't seen a lot of transparency of kids moving back and forth. I know it's summarized here that 45% of the kids right now for choice prior, attended here prior to us accepting this choice. It doesn't come there for simple school. Maybe the grade start school at that time. So that's where we kind of we work with the minimum of one. I give you all the numbers of what we've done. So since 2014, for example, with that minimum of one, the sixth graders, we have a total of 16 students. How much we're doing this year, we had 10. It worked out to not have to add sections and then engage with facilities and families. A lot of the families will end up moving. One of the biggest conversations we have that Hope and I don't have with families is relocating from another state. Most on house here, so they look to find rentals and now. So that's where a lot of the kids are sprinkling into the district. I've been very thoughtful, make sure not to increase class sizes.
Curious, do you have any idea on any given student approximately how long they're a school choice student? We have kids who work school choice for 12 years, are most of them.
Let's say in whole, they're always in, and that's included in these numbers.
Yeah.
We had some years we only took 20, 30 kids. Last year we took more. What you'll find is that acceptance about half actually the goal. This grades first, but a lot of shopping schools. Probably have a lot more kids in high school if we open it up, but we can sprinkle through IB. We have a class, the class will allow for a kid here and there. Try to manage the enrollment so we don't grow too much, but then we can allow families who are already here and be able to stay, and the families that are moving to have an opportunity, and then still have the flexibility that if you get 5 applicants, and then 1, 3 of the applicants live in the district already, then we're supposed to do a lottery for the 1, probably 5, but sometimes we might qualify.
Been doing it since 2014. We wouldn't have, and at the first year, I think it was just high school, we wouldn't have any data on kindergarten or going through, but we could look at those kids. Sometimes they start school choice and then they end up being in district, so we have to go year by year.
Yeah, I was just, I guess, kind of curious to know, are most school choice students a couple years and then they, I was just.
Most stay. I mean, I could say
That's
anecdotally, most of them stay. They don't, if they enroll in school choice, they're committed. Sometimes they don't stay because they have a family change.
Just one more thing I'm kind of curious about. It said in the recommendation that the 30 slots for the DHS IB diploma program, and it says 10 in both 9th and 10th grade, and you yourself said that we just sprinkle them in classes where we have them.
We
But
do that in the younger grades.
yeah, how do we do that in the younger grades? Would they take IB classes before our school would normally allow them, or would they just pledge to take them later?
They pledge to take them later, but they have to be eligible to be able to take them. So for example, in order to do the IB diploma, you will have had to start language. Be able to get to the language requirements for the diploma, math, you'll have to be at a certain math level to be able to do that. You will get their transcripts or their records coming in, and we meet with families, we talk with them about what they're really signing up for. Some, once they find out, they're like, no, that's for me. Some, they're math, if they're not a very strong math student, we know they can't get, it's gonna be a real challenge to get the diploma. If they can't get to math, at least, or math studies. So we talked to them about the requirements. Usually it's language and math that we have to work through to make sure they're on pace to be able to do it. 10th grade is a little more clear cut because you know what, their 9th grade classes, whether they're going to be able to do it. It's 9th grade is challenging because some are coming from schools that didn't offer middle school language. offer enough man in the middle school past what you get in 8th grade to talk about what their options are. We meet with them, we go through, and then we help decide, oh, I think they're doing it or not. If they're accepted, they're gonna be in IB for sure, but they have to pledge to take it, and they have to take the classes to get it.
Thanks.
Is there any more discussion? We'll put it to a vote. To approve the schools of choice spots as designated in the motion. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Moving on to our discussion items, which includes the policy 0144.1 board member compensation. Historically, the Board of Education has an organizational meeting in January when the new board members' terms begin, and a business meeting in July when annual legal and other record-keeping actions are taken in alignment with the fiscal year. With trustee turnover over the last several years, the board decided to consolidate those tasks to all occur at the July meeting, so that new trustees would be able to participate more effectively in the selection of officers and committee assignments. That policy change happened in February 2020. At the July 2020 meeting, board compensation was left off the agenda. So that was acted upon at the January 2021 meeting as it had been in years past. In preparation for this evening's meeting, the administration reviewed the existing policy 0144.1 compensation to see if this task can and should be moved to the July business meeting with the other annual tasks. Staff discovered that the policy does not match the long-standing board practice. This evening's packet contains copies of the policy and the actions taken on compensation over the past several years for reference. At the time this packet was prepared, we hadn't yet determined the reason for the discrepancy, but it is likely something that fell through the cracks during the policy update and or committee member change. There are two options to proceed. Act this evening to adopt the existing policy for this year and review for the future. This is likely to change board compensation for this year. Or B, suspend the policy 0144.1 board compensation for bylaw 0131.1 bylaws and policies until the discrepancy is resolved by policy committee review and board action. Because payments are made in June and December, this will not impact compensation. If option A is preferred, an appropriate motion would be to move that we set the board member compensation for 2022 to be $30 per meeting, is not to exceed 52 meetings. And if option B is preferred, an appropriate motion might be that we suspend the law 0144.1 and direct the policy committee to review and recommend any revisions necessary to bring policy and past practice into alignment.
I'm going to move that the Board of Education act this evening to suspend bylaw 0144.1 and direct the policy committee to review and recommend any revisions necessary to bring policy and past practice into alignment. Right, second that.
It's been moved and seconded to choose option B, which is acting to suspend the bylaw. Is there any discussion?
Historically, in recent years, the board is going to pay $840, which is way less than what the policy says. That they could be, if that's been the practice. Want to stay with that practice, then the motion makes sense.
It would go to committee to review it and then balance it out.
If you go to better way, you know, actually all increase.
I guess I just have a question on the agenda. This was supposed to be a discussion item versus an action item. That seems to be now an action item. I'm just wanted to make sure whether that matters or not.
Anything could be moved to an action item at the board, so you could wait until the next meeting legal requirement to me. I guess we just want to make sure we need to move it from discussion to action or not, we'll just take action.
Instead of getting excited, you want to take action. And then I think discussing it.
Quick discussion. Yeah,
So after the end of this discussion, somebody would say, let's act tonight, make a motion to act tonight.
or you can make the motion to because it's discussion and bring it to the next meeting. We have a whole board. That was all the motion.
So I guess just to explain my motion, I wanted to suggest that I think for all of us, this was the first time we had seen this when the packet came out. And so one of my thoughts was to essentially hold things as they are right now, which when looking at the historical information that we were provided, and I appreciate that, but we can look back and see back at 2006, the board pay was $840 for the year. So historically, that has been set. And so my thought is that it would actually be a large change if we don't even actually know what the financial impact would be to make that change, to actually move to the policy that's actually on the books. And so I guess I was thinking it makes the most sense to me to at least send it to policy committee and look at what this would mean for everyone, and have just a conversation about, should we make a change now? If we move to the current policy that's in our books, like it is a change, favorable to the board. So by deferring or suspending the bylaw, it actually holds us to what everyone expects at this point.
The bylaw requires action tonight. So you have to do one thing tonight. So we put this on the discussion agenda because it was so complicated.
So that was my thinking. My thinking is suspending the bylaw allows us to hold everything as it is right now. Send the policy committee to figure out whether we need to change the policy to match what we're doing or change what we're doing to match the policy without making a decision in the full board at this point.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
The policy committee would then make a recommendation. That policy would come here for first reading. People would talk about it. We do a second reading, I assume. And so we would have time to sort of figure it out.
Yeah, this payment to me in June and December. So we can figure out where we're going.
And just to be clear, if we do not suspend the bylaw, if we go with what our actual board policy says, our pay would go up tonight. So suspending the bylaw would actually hold us where we have been.
In making a decision to go with what the current bylaw would be without knowing the impact it would make on the budget is irresponsible. It seems irresponsible to me. So I agree with the motion that is on the floor, which is suspending it and putting it to policy committee to review and then bring it back for first reading. So that there's ample discussion. It's so, I know it's so weird that we discuss our own salary. We're not the only body of government that does that. But it is in the bylaws. So it is something that I think that we should look at and discuss appropriately and not just make that distinction, especially since we've not been following our own policy as it is.
I guess I would be interested in seeing the data in terms of how we compare Chelsea against, our peers. That would be interesting to me. I do know that some districts pay board members to attend trainings, and there's a lot of variation between district to district. So that would be interesting to see. I know that when Julie Shoemaker was here, she had brought up the question of equity, and it's basically a very privileged group of people who can serve. If you've got childcare issues or if you've got other issues to deal with, how can you also be a board member? It is a very demanding position. And so it's just all of those factors. I would be here, what you find.
support. So I wrote the motion that back tonight to suspend because it's going on the discussion agenda. I think that covers the move.
Yeah, I think I had read what was written here, so act to suspend.
So I think that motion is okay if you want to act tonight.
I don't do it. So, is there any more discussion? Okay, we will put it to a vote. That we will act this evening to suspend by law 0144.1 and direct the committee to review and recommend any revisions necessary to bring policy and past practice into alignment. Was the motion that was supported? That is what we will be voting on. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing no nays, it passes. And we're back to our second public participation time. So now we have up to 15 minutes or 3 minutes per person. Each person is allotted a maximum of 3 minutes unless otherwise notified. At this point, the meeting, those interested in making a public comment will be asked to raise their hands, and so the time may be divided equally. Each speaker may be asked to announce their name and indicate if you represent any organization or agency. No person may speak more than once on the same subject during a single meeting. So if you go with the first opportunity for public comment, if you wish to speak at the second opportunity, it must be about a different subject. And those who wish to receive a personal response from the board or superintendent must complete the green sheets available at the meeting entrance. Is there anyone that would like to take the second opportunity for public participation or comment?
Hello, my name is Ilana Burns. I am a student here at Dexter. I played on the Dexter volleyball team, and I'm here to represent and support Coach Paula Palmer Burns. I just want to start and say that previous years, watching and growing up in the community and watching the volleyball team, it was always fun to watch them win, and watch them work hard. And I remember how exciting it was for this year to be pulled up and work on and be a team player on varsity. And I remember the beginning of the season is never fun because it's always conditioning and it's working very hard and it's it feels like it's just nonstop tiring work. But I remember our coach, Coach Burns, she always had the most for us to do. And sometimes it felt like it was like, oh, why are we doing this? Sometimes we felt like we were fine without it. But this season, after all the hard work we put in and all the hard work that she had us do, it was the first time in over 10 years we beat Saline, and the first time in over 10 years we beat Bedford. And I believe that we could not have done that without a very good and very hardworking coach, and without our team being able to step up and work. And our coach, like Mr. Creech said, leadership was a big part of that. And I believe that Coach Burns stepped into the role, stepped into the varsity coach role, even if she wasn't really sure if she wanted to take that, because I know being her kid, stepping into that role meant that that all of me and my sisters would have had the label coach's kid. And I knew she wanted us to have the same experience as everybody else. So she wanted to be as normal as possible, but she still knew that what was best for the program was to step up as the coach and take on this responsibility. And she honestly changed this program a lot, and for the better and for a lot of things. And for a school project, I interviewed some students about coaches and how they thought their coaching style was. And I told them they wouldn't be quoted, so I won't say any names, but one player described his coach as aggressive, passionate, tough and personal in a way, if you kind of understand that, like closer to the players. That's all tonight. To go. Oh, okay. And I interviewed some of the past volleyball players that played for her this year, and they described her with lots of the same words and lots of the same qualities. So I find it kind of interesting that we would take away someone who has such great and valuable qualities such as that coach. Thank you. Hi, my name is Liliana Burns. I'm a student at Dexter, and I'm also the daughter of Coach Paula Palmer Burns. Hearing that statement, the daughter of Coach Paula Palmer Burns, but it's not much of a surprise that I'm up here tonight. But I am not just because she's my mother and hardworking and kind and brilliant, and I could keep going, but because she's strong and a leader and passionate, and the reason that so many girls and seniors and upperclassmen that love her for who she is, like love her, was because she's a mom and she cares, and everything that she puts her time and work and energy into, she loves. Every player, every parent, every connection, no matter how chaotic or crazy or intense it can become, it's always full of passion and love from her. I have never experienced a moment where she's not always trying to look out for a kid or just look into the betterment of or the growth of a student. She's someone who has changed so many people's lives, and she's helped so many kids. And being her daughter, she's always helped me in anything I've needed. And this really is unfair, and I believe that she should get a chance for people who are on her team and participated with her this season should get a chance to have their voice heard. And me being one on JV and varsity this year, I think that from my standpoint, she was kind and caring and always listened to what I had to say, not just because I was her kid. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
One more, just different subject. So my daughter's a senior in high school and hasn't taken a final exam since she was a sophomore. So, you know, I do a lot of research, and when we came to the school in 7th grade, this school was ranked 3rd in college preparedness for our county. I looked recently, US News World Reports, we're ranked 8th now, on par with Whitmore Lake, who doesn't have near the resources we have. So we have a lot of discussions here, and I've talked to you guys about this before around policy and, you know, COVID and how we're handling that. What are we doing for student success? I don't hear it. I really don't. I think we need to get back to that place because we're dipping, and it's obvious. And I want our kids to be successful, and you guys are the leaders to help make that happen. So we need to hold this guy accountable in the administration and help them to lead us in the right direction. So that's what I would ask the board to focus more of their agenda on going forward. Thank you.
Any more comments from the public? Okay, we are moving on to board comments. I will open it up to the board.
I guess I just wanted to thank the administration for all the work that everyone has been doing, juggling to make sure that school can happen as best they can. I know there's a lot of changes in a lot of districts day by day, and I just want to appreciate how much extra work that it is for everyone.
Any other board comments? Okay, just to direct you to informational items included in the packet, policy committee draft minutes, finance committee draft minutes. At this time, we vote to go into closed session to
the Board of Education meeting in closed session for the purpose of instruction and education. I second. Mr. Albrecht.
Aye.
Mrs. Burley.
Aye.
Mrs. Greater.
Aye.
Ms. Hagus.
Aye.
Guerra.
Aye. We'll get it.
So that's unanimous.
Unanimous, so, we will, I suggest we recess for 5 minutes for a break. To go to the bathroom and not discuss anything, obviously, and then we'll return to the closed session, or come back for the closed session, in 5 minutes.